Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are continuing the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 8, the content of Lord Kṛṣṇa showing the universal form to his mother. And of course, there is a very interesting pastimes. And this narration aroused the curiosity of Parikshit Maharaj, because he was wondering how come the parent of Kṛṣṇa, Vasudeva and Devakī, they were not as fortunate as Nanda and Yaśodā. So this is the topic of this morning's Bhagavatam class. So text number 47. Pitarau nānvavindetāṁ kṛṣṇodārārbhakehitam gāyanti adyāpi kavayo loka-śamalāpaham pitarau, the actual father and mother of Kṛṣṇa. Now, not anvavindetām, enjoyed Kṛṣṇa of Kṛṣṇa, udāra, magnanimous, arbhaka-īhitam, the childhood pastimes he performed. Gāyanti are glorifying. Adyāpi, even today. Kavayo, great sages and saintly persons. Which is loka-śamala-apaham, by hearing of which the contamination of the whole material world is vanquished. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Although Kṛṣṇa was so pleased with Vasudeva and Devakī that he descended as their son, they could not enjoy Kṛṣṇa's magnanimous childhood pastimes, which are so great that simply chanting about them vanquishes the contamination of the material world. Nanda Mahārāja and Yaśodā, however, enjoyed these pastimes fully, and therefore their position is always better than that of Vasudeva and Devakī. Purport. Kṛṣṇa actually took birth from the womb of Devakī, but just after his birth, he was transferred to the home of Mother Yaśodā. Devakī could not even have Kṛṣṇa suck her breast. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj was astonished. How had Mother Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja become so fortunate that they enjoyed the complete childhood pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, which are still glorified by saintly persons? What had they done in the past by which they were elevated to such an exalted position? Gurave Gurachandaya, Radhikatadalaye, Kṛṣṇaya, Kṛṣṇa Bhaktaya, Tabhataya Namo Namah, Ajnanatimindasya, Gananganan Salakaya, Chakshasmita, Yena Tasma Sri Gurave Namah. Namah Vishnupadaya, Kṛṣṇa Pishya Abdullah Srimati Bhakti-yoga Swami Tanamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine, Nidhisasana Bhadi Pashtadhisthayani. Vanchakāpatarubhyascha kripāsindhyevacha patitānaṁ pavanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namah. So I thank everyone for being here this morning, and especially to senior devotees like Panjagoda Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So the very interesting pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the childhood pastimes. We know that every parent, everyone who has, given birth to child, that everyone relishes their, childhood activities. It's a normal thing. Of course, when the children, when they become teenagers, we don't want them in the house anymore, correct? But when they are little, they are so good. We relish, So, pitarau, nānvavindetāṁ, kṛṣṇodārārbhakehitam, gāyanty adyāpi kavayo, loka-śamalāpaham. So, Parikshit Maharaj is actually glorifying Krishna's childhood activities by saying, although Kṛṣṇa was so pleased with Vasudeva and Devakī that he descended as their son, they could not enjoy Kṛṣṇa's magnanimous childhood pastimes, which are so great that simply chatting about them vanquishes the contamination of the material world. Nanda Mahārāja and Yaśodā, however, enjoy these pastimes fully, and therefore their position is always better than that of Vasudeva and Devakī. So, one thing we should understand, it's not that after Kṛṣṇa took his birth from the present house of Devakī and Vasudeva, and that Kṛṣṇa was adopted by Nanda Mahārāja in Vrindavan, and therefore Kṛṣṇa was raised that way. But that's not the case. Actually, in the beginning parts of Bhagavatam also, it was mentioned of how, and also in many other narrations, Harivamsa, Gopachampu, many scriptures, they've explained that Mother Yaśodā was pregnant. She was pregnant, and she was pregnant with a twin, one boy and one girl. She was pregnant. Actually, for many years, when Nanda Mahārāja and Yaśodā Maya, they did not have a child. They were childless for a long period of time. And they were becoming old. They are becoming old, So, even the brothers of Nanda Mahārāja, they were wondering that how come that Nanda he has such a sublime character. Being the leader of the cowherds, he has such a sublime character, but how come he's not having a child? How come? So they were all the elderly Brajabasis, they were all wondering this way. So Nanda Mahārāja, and then she had a discussion with Yaśodā Maya that there must be a reason why we don't have a child. There must be a reason why that we are not having a child. And then Yaśodā said, could it be that maybe we have not properly observed Ekadasi? We haven't properly observed Ekadasi and Dwadasi. Could this be the reason why we did not we did not have a child? So they decided to observe Ekadasi, actually Dwadasi, for a period of a whole year. They were observing Ekadasi. And then And after that, the Mother Yaśodā became pregnant. And of course, also explained that the Drona and Dara, this was the previous names of Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja. Drona and Dara, they were demigods, Vasus. So they performed austerity for thousands of years. And then, so Lord Brahma became pleased with them, and Lord Brahma came, and Lord Brahma, they asked for a benediction of Lord Brahma to be able to have the Supreme Lord as their child, by which he was granted. And of course, in the spiritual world, in the Golokdham, there is original Drona and Dara. There is the original. This is explained by Jiva Goswami and Gopachimpu, that the original personalities are there. That just like when Kṛṣṇa came, he descended along with all his eternal Vrindavan, the Golokdham. He descended along with all of them. So all his eternal associates, they all came, like the Gopis, the Govardhan, Yamuna. So they all descended along with Kṛṣṇa. And of course, they came first. So the eternal associates, Nanda, Yaśodā, so they came, they actually entered, and then they merged with the Drona and Dara, that is here in this material world, and then they subsequently they took birth as Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja. And of course, there's a very long explanation of this, but the main point here is that when Mother Yaśodā gave birth to a twin, one boy and one girl. So when Kṛṣṇa was brought from Mathura, the Kṛṣṇa, who's actually Vasudeva Kṛṣṇa, was brought from Mathura to Vrindavan, and that Vasudeva Kṛṣṇa, because it was in midnight, it was midnight, just like we celebrate Janmashtami at midnight. So Mother Yaśodā, she had just given birth, and she wasn't even sure because she was so tired also, she wasn't sure what what children she has given birth to. So when Vasudeva brought Kṛṣṇa, that because Kṛṣṇa, actually when Kṛṣṇa appeared in the prison house of Kamsa, he appeared as 4-arm form, Vishnu form, with big, it was not small, it was big Vishnu with 4-arm form. But by the prayer of Devakī and Vasudeva and Devakī, so that Vishnu form transformed himself into a baby. So it's not that Kṛṣṇa actually came out of the womb of Devakī. He came as Vishnu form, and they transformed himself into a baby. So and then Kṛṣṇa was taken to Vrindavan. And then when that baby Kṛṣṇa, Vasudeva Kṛṣṇa, was brought from Mathura, and that merged with the original Kṛṣṇa, Nanda Kṛṣṇa, that merged with them. So that's the basic story. And in some of the earlier purports, Srila Prabhupada also did mention about that also. Even sometimes when we say Devakī, the mother of Kṛṣṇa, Devakī can also refer to Yaśodā. Because Yaśodā, she has two names. One name is Yaśodā, another name is Devakī. So it's not that, it's Devakī of Mathura. So when Kṛṣṇa is referred to Devakī Nandana, is being referred to actually that Yaśodā. So Kṛṣṇa, he has performed so many beautiful pastimes in his childhood lila. And these childhood pastimes, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that mentioned here, gāyanty, adyāpi, kavayo, ya loka-śamalāpaham, that this narration of Kṛṣṇa's childhood lila is so captivating, it's so sweet, so nourishing, that the great sages, they continuously narrating this. They continuously narrating these childhood pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. And they've been doing so since time immemorial. And he mentioned here, gāyanti, adyāpi, adya means even today, they are still narrating Krishna's pastime, even up to today. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj said, loka-śamalāpaham, that simply by this narration, all the contamination of this material world is removed. Which means just by hearing about Krishna's pastimes, all the reactions to the sinful activities can all be eradicated. And of course, we find this in the throughout the Bhagavatam, that says that just by hearing about Krishna Katha, all those things that are troublesome can be diminished, can be removed. In the beginning, Parikshit Maharaj said, Nivritasya upagiyamana, that is a Babo Shadi Chota, that hearing it talks about Krishna is the only way by which one can cure the disease of materialistic existence. It talks about Krishna. So which means if you are looking for a solution to the trouble of this materialistic existence, just hear from the devotees, just hear Bhagavatam, hear the narrations of Krishna, then you find your heart becoming very, very much relieved of all the trouble of this material world. And then, of course, the gopi says, when they were in the forest, and that time because Krishna had disappeared, so they were hankering, they were searching for Krishna. And then as they didn't see him, so the gopis, they started singing. And one of their famous prayer is Tabakata Mrita Tapta Jivanam Kaviyo-udāram Kamasapaham Shavana Mangala Srimadatam Bhuviginanti Ye Buridajana. So the gopis are saying that the nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most beneficent. This is very, very powerful, very beautiful songs of the gopis, saying that the talks of Krishna Katha, it gives relief from the sinful reactions of this materialistic existence. He said, kavayo-udāra, which means the great sages, they talks about this. And that's why the sages, especially the devotees, when they get together, what do? They don't have any other discussion. When devotees get together, they simply talk about Krishna. Normally we say that sadhu sangha, sabasashakoi, lava mata sadhu sangha, sabasiddhi, that yes, the perfection of life is to have the association of sadhu. So when the sadhu devotees, when they get together, so Kapila Dev says, Satar Pashanga Mamaviya Samvido, Bhavantari Kana Rasayanaka said, my devotees, when they get together, they discuss about my extraordinary activities. They get together and they talk about my activities. And then by such discussions, Tajo Shanan Apavaga, which means Apavaga, which these are the troubles of this material world. Yapavaga, which is heavenly, and then there's Apavaga, which is the hellish, troublesome. So by Apavaga Vatmani, by hearing talks about Krishna, in the association of devotees, then all the troubles of material world just go away. And that's why the devotees, they're always happy. Only the non-devotees are not happy. Devotees are always happy because they talk about Kṛṣṇa all the time. So Parikshit Maharaj, he was asking this question that how come that Devakī and Vasudeva, they gave birth to Kṛṣṇa, but they were unable to experience this childhood pastime of Kṛṣṇa. Not only they did not even hear about it. They did not even hear about this. So how come? What is the reason why? So this is the curiosity of Parikshit Maharaj, that they did not even hear about this beautiful this childhood pastimes of Kṛṣṇa, this Balya Lila. So Parikshit Maharaj he wanted to know, and then of course Sukadeva Goswami is going to be giving his his answer, that the parents now, the thing about Kṛṣṇa in Vrindavan and Kṛṣṇa in Mathura or anywhere else outside Vrindavan is that in Vrindavan, Kṛṣṇa is at home in Vrindavan, is at home. And being at home, Kṛṣṇa is subordinate himself to his devotees. He remains as subordinate to his devotees. Whereas everywhere else is the absolute truth, whereby everyone prays to him. In Mathura, all the devotees there, even though like Vasudeva and Devakī, they only offer prayer to Kṛṣṇa only. They only pray to him. Whereas in Vrindavan, nobody prays to him. All the Bhujabasis, they simply see Kṛṣṇa as the object of their bliss. They chastise him if Kṛṣṇa became naughty, just like he was going about stealing the butter or breaking into the houses, releasing the calves, and all the elderly gopis, they were accusing him that, oh, you are a thief and all that. And Kṛṣṇa said, no, I am not a thief, you are the thief. And then they had to go and complain to Mother Yaśodā that, oh, this is what your child has been doing. He's been so naughty. He goes about, breaking the pot of the yogurt, or passed urine in all over the places. So they make all this complaint to Mother Yaśodā. And of course, because Kṛṣṇa is afraid of being chastised by his mother, so he would simply try to stay at a corner, being quiet. He would stay like a gentleman, okay, so that being afraid that his mother will chastise him. But there is no such a thing in Mathura, no such a thing as Vasudeva and Devakī chastising Kṛṣṇa, because they simply see Kṛṣṇa as God, is there as the absolute truth. So the absolute truth only manifests himself only when he's outside Vrindavan, but in Vrindavan it's a totally different thing. Vrindavan, totally different thing. So that's why the devotees of Vrindavan, they are so much different than the devotees of everywhere else. It's like in Arjuna, he was offering prayer to Kṛṣṇa. After seeing the universal form of Kṛṣṇa, he was offering prayer that, oh Kṛṣṇa, I have miscalculated you. I have dishonored you in countless numbers of times. I have dishonored you. So kindly forgive me. I can now see that you are the supreme in absolute truth. So Arjuna was making so many prayers to Kṛṣṇa, and I was asking Kṛṣṇa that, please tell me who you are, tell me who are you, all these things. So Arjuna was completely taken over after seeing the universal form of Kṛṣṇa. And then, of course, Krishna explained to Arjuna that, yes, God loves me, that I am time, I am the destroyer of all beings, and all these things. So Krishna explained this to Arjuna. But Krishna's friend in Vrindavan is different like that. They never say Krishna as God. They never say Krishna as God. There is a statement in the Vedas that says that when the Lord was saying that the whole world, they offer prayers to me, just like in the Vedas, so many Shrutis are there, all offering prayers to Krishna. But the Lord said, I am not satisfied at all by all these prayers of the Vedas. I'm not satisfied. But I'm much more satisfied, much more pleased when my devotees of Vrindavan, when they chastise me. And especially when my friends, when they accuse me, when they say, you think you are strong, I am much more stronger than you. And his friend in Vrindavan, they will chastise, they will challenge him, that, oh Krishna, let us see how strong you are. Let us see how strong you are. So the nature of Brijabasi is actually not easy to understand. It's not easy to understand. And that's why Lord Brahma, he was making his prayer. He's saying, Aho bhagyam, Nanda go parvajako sam, yamitram paramanandam, puna brahma sanatana. So, Lord Brahma is saying, how fortunate. He said, how greatly fortunate are Nanda Mahārāja, the cowherd men, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. This is from this is 10th Canto, chapter 14, text 32, in the prayers of Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. He said, how greatly fortunate are Nanda Mahārāja, the cowherd men, and all the other inhabitants of Brajabhumi. There is no limit to their good fortune, because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahma, has become their friend. So how Bhagyan, Lord Brahmaji, because he witnessed when he was in Vrindavan, and he tried to cause some mischief by stealing away Krishna's cowherd boys. He put them in a cave and all that. So somehow Brahmaji, he saw these pastimes, this relationship that is there between Krishna and the Brijabasi. So he became amazed. He became amazed. He said, Aho Bhagyan, this is how fortunate are the Brijabasi. How fortunate are they? And then he said further, Ahoti danya Brijago Ramanya, Stan Yamritam Pitam Atiba Timuda, Yasan Vibo, Batsa Taratma Jatman, Yatriptaye adyāpi na chalam adya. Oh Almighty Lord, how greatly fortunate are the cows and ladies of Vrindavan, the nectar of whose breast milk you have happily drunk to your full satisfaction, taking the form of their calves and children. All the Vedic sacrifices performed from time immemorial up to the present day have not given you as much satisfaction. And the Lord Brahma continued. He said, Esantubhaya Mahima Chittatabadashtam Ekadasaiva Ivayam Bhataburi Bhaga Etadasika Chasakai Asaki Pibama Sabadayon Griuraja Madhu Amrita Tasavanti. Yet, this is 10:14:33. Yet, even though the extent of the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan is inconceivable, we 11 presiding deities of the various senses, headed by Lord Shiva, are also most fortunate because the senses of these devotees of Vrindavan are the cups through which we repeatedly drink the nectarian, intoxicating beverage of the honey of your lotus feet. So because Brahmaji and all the presiding deities of the senses, there are 12 of them, I think 11, who are the presiding deities of the various senses of the body, here, the eyes, and all that. So Lord Brahma is saying that we are so fortunate because these Bhajabasi, they are drinking the nectar of your activities, of your lotus feet, through their senses, the eyes, the mouth, the ears, and all that. So because we are the controller of all these senses, so we're able to indirectly drink this nectar also because they are the controller of the senses. So therefore, we're able to also drink this nectarian honey of the lost Leela. So this has been explained this way, that the fortunate Bhajabasi, because Bhajabasi, as I explained in meaning, they are not ordinary personality, they are not ordinary persons. So therefore, the distinction between Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja, between Yaśodā, Nanda Mahārāja, and Devakī and Vasudeva, the distinction is there, as La Prabhupada mentioned in one of the purports, that the status of Nanda Mahārāja and Yaśodā Maya is much higher than the status of Devakī Vasudeva. Actually, Prabhupada said that it says that so many times, it says it's thousands of times much more higher than the status of Vasudeva and Devakī. Because Vasudeva and Devakī, they perform their austerity for so many for thousands of years, basically. Through the 4 yugas, they perform their austerities so that they can have the Supreme Lord as their child, so that they can give birth to the Supreme Lord. But they only give birth to Kṛṣṇa, but they are unable to experience the childhood pastime of Kṛṣṇa. So therefore to them, Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Absolute Truth. But Nanda Mahārāja, Kṛṣṇa is simply their child. So there was one time, in Leela, some of Kṛṣṇa's friends, they were joking with Kṛṣṇa, they were joking with him, they were teasing him. They were saying that, oh Kṛṣṇa, you are blackish and your mother is fair skin. So you could not have been Mother Yaśoda's child because your complexion is different. Mother Yaśodā is whitish, fair skin, and you are blackish. So therefore, how can you call yourself the son of Mother Yaśodā? Mother Yaśodā did not give birth to you. So his friend, they were teasing him this way. So Kṛṣṇa went to Mother Yaśodā, crying, that, oh, Maya, is it true that I'm not your child? You didn't give birth to me? Is it true? Because my friend have said so, that you did not give birth to me. Is this true? And then Mother Yaśodā said, what? I swear by my ancestor, everything. You are my child. I gave birth to you. You are my child. There's no such a thing of you not be my child. You are my child. And you always be my child. So this is so some of these, things are there, Now, we see that in this chapter, which is dealing with Krishna's showing his universal form, to Kṛṣṇa, because when his friend, when they complained to Mother Yaśodā that he has been eating clays and all that, he's been eating dirt, and Kṛṣṇa, when Mother Yaśodā called Kṛṣṇa that, oh Kṛṣṇa, you've been eating dirt, all your friends, they complain. They came to me and tell me, even your brother Balaram, he also said so. So Kṛṣṇa said that this is simply a conspiracy against me. It's a conspiracy against me. This is a lie. I cannot eat dirt. This is not true. And if you don't believe me, look inside my mouth. Look at my mouth. If you don't believe me. Somebody should say, okay, open your mouth. Let me see. So Kṛṣṇa opened his mouth. And Mother Yaśodā looked inside. What did she see? She saw the entire cosmic manifestation. She saw all the universes, all the planets, all the luminaries, the sun, the moon, everything, different demigods, all the loka-palas, so many things. She also saw Vrindavan, and she even saw herself looking into the mouth of Kṛṣṇa. So, because, even though Kṛṣṇa does not really manifest his opulence in Vrindavan, but his opulence is always there simultaneously. After all, they say Bhagavan means the one who's full in 6 opulences. His opulence is always there. So from time to time, this opulence will sometimes also manifest in Vrindavan. But again, the Lord will always employ his yoga maya potency to cover his opulence, to cover his vibhuti. The Lord will always employ the yoga maya potency to cover this. Like Srila Vishnu Chakravarti is saying that the Lord has 2 main potency. One is Sarvagyan, the knower of everything, the supreme omniscient. And then another aspect of his potency is Mugdhata, being forgetful, Mugdhata, being forgetful of himself. Just like when Kṛṣṇa was crying, when Mother Yaśodā tried to tie him, as we're going to be reading in the next chapter. So Kṛṣṇa was, when Mother Yaśodā caught him, and Kṛṣṇa was crying. He was crying because he was afraid that his mother was going to beat him. So the Acharya was explaining that this kind of Kṛṣṇa, he wasn't just faking it. He wasn't just saying, oh, I am God, but let me just, I'm just pretending to be this way. Kṛṣṇa was actually feeling it. He was actually doing so for real. Just like any child would be afraid of their mother. Kṛṣṇa is actually doing so for real. So therefore he was crying because he was afraid that his mother will beat him. So this potency of Mugdhata is always there. And this only possible only in Vrindavan, whereby Kṛṣṇa feel himself has been subordinate to his devotees. Just like when Udāra came to Vrindavan, because Udāra came after Kṛṣṇa had left Vrindavan, and all the Brijabasis, they were full of separation from Kṛṣṇa. They were all crying day after day because Kṛṣṇa had left Vrindavan. So Kṛṣṇa sent Udāra to Vrindavan to go and give consolation to the Brijabasis. So Udāra came, and Udāra, he wasn't an ordinary person. Udāra was a perfect person. He actually has the same form as Kṛṣṇa. He has the same he was exact replica of Kṛṣṇa. So when Udāra came, and he was preaching to Brihapasi, because Udāra was also a disciple of Brihaspati, very highly learned person. So, like a teacher, he was trying to preach to the Brihapasi that Kṛṣṇa is the supreme absolute truth. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa is everywhere, so therefore you do not have to lament for Kṛṣṇa. So Udāra was going around trying to tell the Brajavasis that they should not lament for Kṛṣṇa. And of course, no one took him serious. And then he went to the house of Nanda Mahārāja. And they tried to tell Nanda Mahārāja that, oh, Kṛṣṇa, don't just call Kṛṣṇa your son. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme, Kṛṣṇa is God. He's the supreme Lord. Why don't call him your son? He has come here to give you happiness, but the whole world is worshiping him. So why are you crying? Stop crying. Kṛṣṇa is God. So as Udāra was talking on and on this way, so Nanda Mahārāja said, Udāra, just keep quiet. You don't know what you are talking about. Kṛṣṇa is my son. What kind of God is that? You say your Kṛṣṇa is your God. Kṛṣṇa is not God. Kṛṣṇa is my son. Don't you know that many times when Kṛṣṇa is a child, he will become afraid of something, and then he will run and jump on my lap for protection. So how can you call him that is God? What kind of God is that? We know that Narayana is God, is the supreme person of God, but not Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is my child, it's my son. And then Nanda Mahārāja will be describing so many childhood pastimes of Kṛṣṇa and all that. And as he will be describing this, he will be crying, trying to describe all the so many wonderful childhood lila of Kṛṣṇa. He will be crying. And then he told Udāra, he said, Udāra, if you said that Kṛṣṇa is God, and God has been your house, if God leaves your house, shouldn't you cry for that? God is living your house, and then he left your house. Shouldn't you cry for God leaving your house, for God leaving your vision? Is that not the ultimate goal of the devotees? So therefore, you don't know what you're talking about. We said that in order to attain Kṛṣṇa, we have to cry for him. In order to attain, unless you cry for Kṛṣṇa, you cannot attain him. You cannot attain the Lord unless you cry for him. So, and of course, Udāra experiencing all this, hearing this from Nanda Mahārāja, experiencing the nature of the Brajavasi, the activities. So he became defeated. He was defeated. He became defeated. Again, good remains somebody who became defeated in his knowledge and all that. So this wonderful narration of Kṛṣṇa to Parikshit Maharaj, it's going on, and it's becoming more and more sweeter. Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question. He was full of ecstasy, full of ecstasy. So I want to know more about these Brajavasis. I want to know more about them. How come their position is such a highly elevated position, much more than the Mathuras? How come? So I want to know. So he was asking this question so that he can know more, he can get much more deeper into it. Because we know that Parikshit Maharaj, he had been fasting for the past several days. When he was hearing Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, he had been fasting. But because he's been hearing the nectarian topics about Kṛṣṇa, he's not feeling any hunger, he's not feeling any thirst, nor does he feel any need to even go to sleep. Many of us, we come to Bhagavatam class, that's the best time for us to go to sleep. We sleep when we come to Bhagavatam class. But Parikshit Maharaj was hearing Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. He was relishing it. There was no hunger, there was no thirst or desire to sleep. He just completely hearing. He was so attentive. And of course, if you're hearing Bhagavatam, which means the way, but for us to get the effect of Bhagavatam is when we hear Bhagavatam, we should be very attentive to the hearing. If you are very attentive to the hearing, then we can get the benefit. Otherwise, if you're not attentive, you're thinking of something else, then we will not get the benefit of hearing Bhagavatam. Anyway, this is a wonderful topic. I'm just trying to, recite something. Hopefully I can get benefit from this recitation, and also by devotees listening, I can get benefit from that also. So thank you very much, Prabhu. Some comment? Okay.
It's amazing how Kṛṣṇa reciprocated Devakī and Vasudeva by taking birth and showing them his Vishnu form. That was a reciprocation of love. And then he reciprocated with Yaśodā and Nanda in even a more glorious way of exhibiting his childhood pastime with Yaśodā and Nanda. So showing that he actually reciprocates his devotees, not a physical, bodily combination that came from this place to that place. And the mysteries of this Kṛṣṇa appearing here, there, that Kṛṣṇa appearing. It's all one Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Lord, reciprocating with his devotees in different relationships.
Yeah.
And like you said, Maharaj was amazed at how fortunate were Yaśodā and Nanda Mahārāja to have the Lord personally exhibit his wonderful childhood pastimes in front of them. And as you mentioned, by attentively hearing these pastimes, which are timeless, that helps awaken one's desire to be entering this place.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Some question? Anything? Yeah, that's why it's a gāyanty, adyāpi, kavayo, loka, that just by, the sages, they've been narrating these pastimes since time immemorial, and therefore we get benefit from that. Anyway, thank you very much. There's another question. Grant us Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna.